Welcome to the Midnight Paradigm. We are dedicated to winning the battle for the soul of the nation. This video is brought to you by the Reality Feedback Loop, the most trusted loop in the battle for the soul of the nation. See, feel, do, review, and reconcile. For more information concerning the Reality Feedback Loop, contact the Midnight Paradigm at midnightparadigm@gmail.com. That's Midnight Paradigm, MIDKNIGHT paradigm@gmail.com. Today, we are talking about race and color. And the whole conversation is leading up to the question, how did race become color? And we're going to start with the inspiration for this video, what inspired me to do this video. And here it is. This lady here, she's my inspiration. I was reading some stuff on critical race theory. I think this is from an article called A Brief History on critical race theory. And the quote here is coming from Kiera Bridges. This is the lady that was recently going toe-to-toe with a senator at one of the hearings.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Let's start here. We know this woman. A few years ago, when I was giving this same little speech in different places, no one knew who this woman was. Now we got her on record refusing to call women, right? Well, anyway, here we're talking about race, which is another part of our identity. And let's see what she has to say about that. She says, recognition that race is not biologically real. This is something that we're hearing over and over and over from the globalists or the leftists. It says race is not biologically real, but is socially constructed and socially significant. Refutes the idea of biological racial differences. Race is a product of social thought and is not connected to biological reality. I am here to challenge this notion. I think it is a false notion, and I think the people that are pushing it, I believe they know it is a false notion. And what they do is they get us caught up on this whole notion of taxonomy, where they try to separate us based on like different characteristics and features, and we're comparing black people to monkeys. They want us to think about the old racist ideas that the left used to push back in the day. But my position is there is a biological component to race. It has nothing to do with the old leftist racist intellectuals, academics were pushing on to the people back in the day. But it's very simple. There's a very simple connection to race and biology, and I want to go through that in this video. Let's watch this opening clip.
I think we have a lot of preconceptions about what race really is.
What is race has changed dramatically through time.
There is no official scientific definition of race.
We're all different.
I was aware that I wasn't white.
The teacher said, no, Tessa's something else. And everybody's eyes are on me and I'm a really shy person. She said, but what are you, Tessa?
A lot of people imagine that there is some biological tangibility to race because we use it so much. Race really is a social construct, but just because something is a social construct, that doesn't mean it doesn't have meaning in people's lives.
All right, so here we are. We're back to this race as a social construct. The reason people are confused about race today is because we have applied this thing called color to race, and color is where we're getting f***ed up. This is a very complex conversation. I don't expect for everyone to understand it. I definitely don't expect everyone to agree. But if you're still watching, just listen. Let's break this word down. And if you're capable of thinking for yourself, then take this information in and think on it. Think for yourself. All right, so here we are. We're talking about, we're on the etymology of the word race. Now, Etymology isn't the same as definition. What etymology is giving us is the history of words. So if we're talking about a word that we have clearly established that is confusing, we lack understanding about it, let's go back to the study of words, the etymon. Let's look at the etymon and let's see where we get this word from and what it meant in the beginning. This will allow us to reach a place where we can agree to agree. Let's just agree to agree on what this word meant in its origins. We go back to 1560. It's people descended from common ancestor, class of persons allied by common ancestry. From the French race, earlier raza, race, breed, lineage, family. Possibly from the Italian raza. We can go all the way down to radix, which is root. Though they admit this might have influenced the tribe nation sense, and race from the 15th century from radix, Middle English. Then we go to Arabic, raz, head, beginning, origin, compared to Hebrew, rosh. So when we're talking about race in its origin, we're really talking about your descent, your patronage, your parents, your family, your descent, your lineage. Now, if we're accepting the origin of the word race, forget what you understand about it today. If we accept the origin of the word race, and we're talking about it being family and lineage and descent, we can't deny the biological relevance of race. Because if the law wants to determine whether a child is of my lineage or not, and they take my DNA, they can connect me to that child. And that child is of my lineage. We are of the same race, not because we have the same broad nose, not because we have the same thick lips and curly, kinky hair. That's not what makes us of the same race, but it is our biology, our DNA, my blood type. That's what makes us of the same race. So if we were to just acknowledge the etymology of the word race, we would see the biological relevance. I'm not trying to connect the term race to a whole continent. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just connecting race to family, which is what the etymology of the word did. Let's go to the next one. Now we're in Webster's dictionary. We see definition 1 says any one of the groups that humans are often divided into based on physical traits regarded as common among people of shared ancestry. Regarded as common among people of shared ancestry. It's not really trying to tell you that could be family also, because family is a group of people or group of humans that are of shared ancestry. It's not going to come, it's for whatever reason, it's not just coming out right and saying that here. If you weren't introduced to the etymology, you might not be trying to make that connection. But in a roundabout way, for whatever reason, a subtle way, they're telling you that one of the groups that humans are often divided into is family, regarded as common among people of a common ancestry. Look, that is family. Family falls into that category. So when we look at Webster's dictionary, they're acknowledging that race is family also. Then we see definition B, a group of people sharing a common cultural, geographical, linguistic, or religious origin or background. Now that's more so related to the word ethnic. When we start talking about ethnicity, we're talking about common cultural, geographical, linguistic, or religious origin. This is where we get into the term ethnic. That would be a good synonym for definition B, right? And then let's go to definition C. Definition C, they make sure they tell us that this is archaic. We don't use this anymore. We want to actually forget this usage of the word race. And here it says the descendants of a common ancestor, a group sharing common lineage. That is family. So now that we understand, we know what the etymology says about the word race. We know what the definition in Webster says about race. And it's going to be hard when you look at A and C. It's going to be hard to not acknowledge. It's going to be hard to continue on your day-to-day life pretending not to know that race is also family. It's going to be hard for you to do that. What you have to start asking yourself, and the answer is not going to come to you immediately. You got to keep asking yourself, why are these people trying to disconnect my brain from understanding that race is also family? It is also a lot of social constructs associated with race. But at the end of the day, race is also family. We need to understand that. And it's important. But I'm going to let you draw the conclusions why it is important. And you got to walk with this information for a while. You got to walk with this information. You got to pay attention to the world around you for you to realize why understanding that race is also family, why that's important. Now let's go to the next clip here. So now we're into the legalese. This is Black's Law Dictionary. This is the 4th edition. When we look at it, I'm just going to skip down here with the Black's Law Dictionary legalese. This is how the law views the word family. A tribal or national stock, a division or subdivision of one of the great racial stocks of mankind, distinguished by minor peculiarities. Descent. When we're talking about tribal or tribes, we're talking about family. When we're talking about descent, we're obviously talking about lineage. You can't escape it. There is a genetic significance to that. Now we're going back to Webster's. We're looking at synonyms. And if you look up their definition, the definition 1 that Webster's website uses for synonyms for race, they're defining it here as family. So when you read definition A, they are describing family in definition A. But for whatever reason, they just don't say that. Race is family according to definition 1 on the synonyms list, webstersdictionary.com, right? And then the synonyms that we're looking at, family, tribe. Remember I told you tribe is family. House, clan, lineage, folks, people, blood, stock, household, descendant, kin, dynasty, kindred, line. And it just repeats. When we're talking about race, there is an aspect that is related to family. The question is, why are they pretending not to know it? Why don't they want you to acknowledge it? You got to walk with this information. You got to figure it out for yourself. And then here, now let's start getting into color. Now we're back in Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition, and let's look at color. They just keep in mind, they gave you a color here in the United States. They assigned you a color at birth and attached it to your identity. Now you have walked with it X amount of years, and you are so linked to this identity, the mere mention of color involved in any incident, you're crying racism. But do you even know what color is in the eyes of the law? I'm not even talking about in as far as race is concerned. We're just talking about color in the eyes of the law. Because your color, when you fill out an application and you fill out your race, you are identifying a legal status. When you look up the term black, matter of fact, this is your homework. I'm not going to do if you're here, I'm not going to do everything for you. If you look up what the term black means in Black's Law Dictionary, it's a legal status. It represents where you stand in this country on a legal basis, right? Same thing as far as white. Like these are specific terms that at one point, the Naturalization Act determined who had the ability to be granted rights in this country. Anyway, well, what is color? When they give you a color, they know what that color is. Do you know what that color is? According to Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition, it says, color is an appearance, semblance, or simulacrum as distinguished from what is real. A prima facie, if I'm saying that correctly, or apparent right. Hence, a deceptive appearance, a plausible, assumed exterior, concealing a lack of reality, a disguise or pretext. When they got you, every time you hear a motherfucker talk about as a person of color, their stupid ass is letting you know that that's not real. As a person of color, I'm accepting this identity that is a prima facie, that is a assumed exterior, concealing a lack of reality. I have no standing under the law because I'm identifying myself as a fucking color, as distinguished from that which is real. Race cannot be a color. You are not a color. Look, man, let me hurry up and get through this because I start getting pissed off when I start thinking about this shit. We'll just look at this thing, this little excerpt from Wikipedia, and we're talking about race. We're talk about white people. And then we go down here, look up like the third sentence or fourth sentence from the bottom of that paragraph. We'll see that it says scholarship on race distinguishes the modern concept from pre-modern descriptions, which focus on physical complexion rather than race. Listen to that sentence. Physical complexion has nothing to do with race. It is this color paradigm that they have you in. It's an illusion. It's fake. That's why we're all confused. We keep trying to make color fit into what race is, and that is a modern phenomenon. Prior to the modern era, no European peoples regarded themselves as white, but rather defined their race, ancestry, or ethnicity in terms of their nationality. Thomas Jefferson was not a white man. Thomas Jefferson was part of the aristocracy. He is above these false identities, white and black. He's above that. He's not stupid enough to sit here and identify himself as a color. We have to break free of this paradigm and get out of this desire, this weird desire to identify ourselves as colors, man. It's weird. It's weird and it's stupid. Especially when I can sit here and show you that in the eyes of the law, as far as the law is concerned, a person identifying as a color is not real. You're not real, bro. And listen, you're gonna listen to me. You're gonna be like, man, this sound odd. This sound weird. Who are you? How do you know all this? You're not an expert. You're not a legal expert. And you're right. I can't give you any legal advice. What I'm telling you is that Black's Law Dictionary says this exact thing. You again, spend some time with this information. Decide how you want to interpret it. But as it reads right here, I'm telling you right now, it is a deceptive appearance, which is why you're so fucking confused about what race is. You're trying to connect your race to a freaking color, and it's not making sense. There's no way you can make coherent sense of this notion of race being color. There's no way you can do it. We got to go back and figure out when, where, and why they started tricking us into believing that our identity was directly linked with these colors. Even when you look at slavery, your homework, look up the term black. If you are a black person, or if you're watching this video, have you ever asked yourself what is the social relevance of the term black? What does it mean in the United States of America to be black? I need you to go look that up. Look it up in the Webster's Dictionary. Look it up in Black's Law Dictionary. What is the social relevance? Look up the etymology. What is the social relevance of the word black? Why did they start identifying an entire group of people in this country as black, and what does it mean? The whole point of this video was to talk about the notion that race is not biologically real, but socially constructed and socially significant. It recognizes that science refutes the idea of biological racial differences. Yeah, it can refute it as long as we ignore that the etymology says that race is family. The definition on Webster's today, they haven't changed it yet. Share this video, tell a friend that race is family. Race is family. Of course, there are some social structures that go along with race. You know, there are things that we at Mankind, we have added to this idea of race to align ourselves and ally ourselves with other groups of people. That is true. But we cannot continue to pretend that we don't know that race is family. We can't continue to pretend that. And we have to start asking ourselves, why are they keeping this from us? Why don't they want us to know it? Does it have anything to do with the fact that they don't want us to continue functioning as families in society? Does it have anything to do with their desire to destroy the family, the institution of family? Is that connected to it at all? We have to ask ourselves that. Does it have anything to do with this whole this woman right here, like we have her on record saying that race isn't biologically real. We've established that that's false. Now she's also telling us that women aren't the only people that can have babies. We've been knowing that was false. But why are they pushing these lies and these terrible ideas? What is happening? Walk with this information, people. Don't expect the mainstream establishment media. Don't expect the mainstream establishment academia, institutions. None of these people on the left or the right, they are not going to come to you and tell you that these colors that they have assigned to you, they're not going to tell you that they are fake. That they have the semblance of reality, but they are essentially fake. None of them are going to tell you. They're not going to tell you that. Just know this for yourself. Continue to walk with this information and ask yourself for yourself. You have to answer this for yourself. What is the social relevance of these colors? And how do I begin to break free of them?
You saved my ass.
Not yet. Huh? Most of the heat-resistant tiles have peeled off. The temperature's rising. Yeah, and the number 2 nozzle won't work either. What? Are you for real? We can't live without them. I knew I
whatever happens, happens.